If Einstein was born in the 1500s, his hair would definitely be slicker and probably parted in the middle. We'd seen him with a puffy chest and a neutral expression, and most importantly, he would wear these funny aristocratic shoes with delicate lace. Now here's a crazy thought. Let's say Beethoven was an adult in the early 2000s. I'm thinking he would look like a member of the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. Definitely no crazy hair, since he would be rocking a buzz cut. Honestly, I think I love this version of him. Now, if The Scream by Edward Munch was an early Renaissance painting, this is what we would see. A man in a laced-up long-sleeve vest with a pouch on his belt, to carry water and essentials, of course. Picture an old Bilbo Baggins, if you will. And what if Selena Gomez had been born in the 1920s? Now I'm thinking she'd be pictured wearing a beautiful polka dot dress with a short hairdo and a cloche hat. Would Brad Pitt also be considered one of the most beautiful men alive back in ancient Egypt? I'd say absolutely. These pastel tunics are a great fit for him. Oh, and we saw him in Troy. He sure can sport sandals. Oh, and who's that? It's Spider-Man, but all the way back in the Victorian era. He still has his red mask, but even superheroes had to be formal. That's why he's wearing a vest with precious-looking gold buttons. And not to mention, this Spider-Man has a cape. Those long tailored capes men used to wear. And that's Doctor Strange. I have to say, he seems to fit perfectly into the Victorian period. He's a little bit fancier here. His cape got an upgrade, and it's embroidered with golden threads and some brooches. Jump to the future. AI generated what celebrities would look like in 40 years from now. So this is Harry Styles. I'd say a mixture of an aged Jim Carrey with Daniel Craig maybe. And what about Billie Eilish? With natural gray hair, she looks like Tilda Swinton in Narnia. Gorgeous, if you ask me.
Imagine, all the planets from the solar system had a meeting and decided that Earth should move to another galaxy. Then what? Well, my friends, if Earth got kicked out of the solar system, let's just say we'd be in for a bumpy ride. As you may know, each planet occupies its own orbit in relation to the Sun, guaranteeing the perfect functioning of our solar system. But it wasn't always like this, though. Billions of years ago, planets and asteroids kept constantly bumping into each other. It took some time before each planet found its own personal orbit, and our system took the formation it has today. Now, as you may know, the most important organizing factor of the solar system is gravity. Gravity attracts every piece of matter to every other piece of matter in the universe, and the bigger the mass, the bigger the gravity. The Sun makes up 99.75% of all the mass in the solar system. It's precisely the Sun's gravitational pull that has kept Earth on a steady and reliable path. But it wouldn't take a surreal interplanetary meeting for Earth to go rogue. This is an actual possibility, an unlikely, but real one. For instance, if any rogue planet or star were to travel close to the solar system, its gravitational force could mess up our planetary organization. And did you know that this has actually happened before? Some 70,000 years ago, a red dwarf passed through the Oort cloud and messed things up. The Oort cloud is an outer circle of space debris located on the edge of our solar system. It lies far beyond Pluto and the Kuiper belt and surrounds the Sun in a giant spherical shell. Apart from the 8 planets and the Kuiper belt, there is another asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Now, scientists expect another red dwarf to pass by our solar system. It's an orange star from the constellation of Serpens Cauda. Astronomers expect it to pass near the Sun in about 1.29 million years, at a distance of about 99 billion miles. This star has about 60% of the mass of the Sun, which would be enough to cause a great disturbance in our system. Once the star entered our system, we'd be able to see it in the night sky without any equipment. It would be like watching a small orangish dot appearing in the sky. Over the months, it would grow bigger and bigger until we'd see it during the daytime. At a certain point, it would become so big and bright that we wouldn't be able to look at it directly. Just like people say we shouldn't do with the sun, but we look at it directly anyways, right? At this moment, the night sky would fill with an eerie red glow, and after a few months, the orange star would start shrinking again, turning smaller than the sun, but then, wait, the sun is turning smaller too. Well, yes. The passing of Gliese 170 took Earth out of its orbit, and its gravitational force pulled us out of our natural alignment. Now the Earth will roam through the solar system until it reaches outer space. So, what would happen with our planet if this were to really happen? First, the Earth would leave what is known as the Goldilocks zone, also known as the habitable zone. It's a rather narrow part of the solar system where human life can thrive. What's its success secret? Water in a liquid state. Astronomers have discovered that Mercury also has water, but only in its northern and southern poles, where light never reaches. Pluto, the dwarf planet at the rear end of the solar system, is 30% water, but much of it is hiding under a thick layer of ice. If the Earth ever did leave its privileged place orbiting the Sun, it would travel around the galaxy at its orbital speed of 67,000 miles per hour. That's 1,000 times faster than a cheetah can run. Pretty fast, huh? So, in about more or less a month, humanity would see the red giant Mars on the horizon. By then, we would be getting around 44% of the sunlight we once had. If someone wanted to begin a new civilization, this would be the perfect moment. With reduced sunlight, it would be more difficult for plants to continue doing photosynthesis, so most of the flora on our planet would begin to perish. A few days after leaving Mars's orbit, our planetary spaceship would face its first challenge, traveling through the asteroid belt. It's a collection of small, rocky, metallic bodies. They're basically leftovers from the Big Bang that created our solar system 4.6 billion years ago. So, in a way, it's almost like we were traveling in time, right? Luckily for us, the distance between one asteroid and the next is about 600,000 miles. So, after passing one asteroid, it might take us a while before running into the next. If we make it through this journey intact, then we'll see the first gas giant in our galaxy, Jupiter. Up until this moment, our loyal moon has been following us as we travel inside the solar system. But, Jupiter's huge mass might steal our moon away from us. After all, Jupiter's gravity is twice as strong as Earth's. If our moon did join Jupiter's orbit, it would be no less than its 80th moon. A bit too many moons, if you ask me. At this point in our travels, the Earth's atmospheric temperature would have fallen drastically to around negative 229 degrees Fahrenheit. So life on Earth would only be possible in very specific places. Most of our planet's water would be frozen at this point, but only on the surface. Thanks to the Earth's core activity, it would heat our oceans from below, allowing heat to escape and maintain some water in the liquid state. In fact, the Earth's core would remain active for billions of years after it has left orbit. In this scenario, microbes living near hydrothermal vents would thrive. But perhaps some life would also be possible near the heat provided by thermal vents above the surface, in places like Yellowstone Park. A great option for humanity would be to build cities deep underground. This would be our best bet if we wanted to keep human life on planet Earth. 10 years after our departure, we would be deep into the interstellar voyage. We'd be over 2.8 billion miles from the Sun. Our solar system would be nothing but a distant memory. If you were still living on Earth at that point, then you'd probably be coexisting with great technological advancements. Humans could build entire underground cities using geothermal energy. Maybe we'd even discover how to turn ice into power and create a sustainable and abundant system for fuel. Ice would also be our main source of water, and by then, the transformation process wouldn't be as expensive. Underground crops would thrive, but some plants would be better than others. Moss, fungi, and algae would be some great alternatives, as they are much easier to farm and grow in large numbers. This would mean that most of our diet would be plant-based, as it might be hard to keep grazing animals under the ground. Humanity could go on living thousands of years this way. If Earth happened to pass by some star with a habitable planet, we might even attempt to make a home on another planet. Spaceflight would become easier without the atmosphere in the way. So, yep, the idea of venturing into other planets would no longer seem too surreal in this scenario. The only thing that we would rather not happen to us is Earth running into a black hole. If that happened, let's just say we'd all be turned into spaghetti. Not literally, but we would go through a process that is called spaghettification. In this case, planet Earth, and everyone still living on it, would be vertically stretched up to the point of, well, vanishing. But that's the subject of another video. Fortunately, even if all this could be true, we wouldn't be caught by surprise. Thanks to scientific and technological advancements, we would be able to predict if a star were to pass too close to our home planet. And even if we couldn't stop a star, we would most certainly manage to do everything to prepare. So, who knows? Maybe the future generations will be watching this video, surprised at how precisely we figured the future out.
The food on the tables in the cruise ship's dining room seems freshly made. It looks like everyone just picked up and left. You panic and run outside to the main deck. There are plenty of slippers and sandals lying around, but no people around. You bend over the railing and see that the cruise ship is still moving. There's not a single staff member in sight. Your first guess is that they've all gathered somewhere for some reason, so you make your way to the captain. You walk through the long and maze-like corridors before you reach the control room. The door is wide open and someone has set the ship to cruise control. Some scenarios play out in your head. Scenario number 1 is that while you were asleep, everyone else woke up and decided to pull a prank on you, so they must be hiding somewhere on the ship. When you freak out because no one is around, they'll pop out of nowhere and surprise you with an awesome party and cake. The second scenario you come up with is that while everyone was enjoying their cruise, the ship accidentally entered the fourth dimension with everyone, including the animals on board. But then, why did they leave you behind? The third possible scenario is that everyone found a better cruise ship nearby and decided to abandon the ship for a better one. They just forgot to tell you. But why did they leave their stuff behind and their food half-eaten? You try to figure out what the controls mean, but it's just a bunch of random gizmos and flickering lights. There is no pop-up manual to study, but there is pretty fast Wi-Fi. You start your laptop and do a quick search on what some of these things mean. You quickly figure out that the ship is in safety mode and has automatic sensors to detect when the water gets too rough. You open up social media and try to contact some people, but your phone doesn't have a connection. Only the laptop, which is connected via cable, works. There's a radio to contact the mainland. You ring in, but no one's answering. Suddenly, your notifications pop up. You look at photos of your friends on vacation or back home. But they're not there. Only the backdrop with no one in there. Everyone has officially disappeared, except you. You try one last time to contact the rest of the world, but nobody is answering. You check out some of the cruise details and find out that the ship will need around 11 days until you reach the nearest dock. After looking at the map, you see a small remote island that's only 4 days' trip away. The cruise ship travels around 20 knots, which is around 23 miles an hour. Meanwhile, you discover the ship and enter some of the fancy places. The ads on TV just show an empty backdrop of the cruise ship without people, which makes it look quite lonely. On a 7-day cruise, a large ship can use over 9,000 pounds of lettuce and 45,000 pounds of eggs. In general, there are 2,000 steaks and 1,000 baked potatoes consumed per day on a cruise with more than 1,000 people. There is so much food and ingredients on the ship that you can technically last for years. You reach the receptionist desk and talk over the intercom radio to make official announcements. Hello? Hello? Just a sound of crickets. Okay, if this is some kind of prank, it's not funny. You can come out now. I'm going to the underdeck for some snacks. You wait for an answer, but no one is coming. You decide to go to the lower decks of the ship, but before you head down, you check out the ice skating rink with no one there. You slip on some ice skating shoes and go for a little spin. It feels good with no one to bother you or tell you what to do. After that, you check out the game room and play some arcade games. You use the coins from the counter and play for hours. The sun begins to set, so you decide to have a refreshing drink and enjoy the view. You sit on the top deck where only the VIPs are allowed and grab the biggest sunbed to lay on. It's so quiet that you can hear the ocean waves. You fall asleep there and wake up the next morning because of the bright sun. You walk around trying to see what to do. You grab a golf club and start swinging. You get the balls into the ocean and keep playing until you get bored. You realize that you got sidetracked with the activities and want to go to the lower decks of the ship. You check out the staff-only entry with a pass that you found lying around. You start descending to the bottom. It's getting darker. The power isn't working, so you grab a flashlight and look through the rooms. Crew members usually live in a dorm-style room with shared bunk beds. They have a common area for eating staff meals and have access to other recreational activities. The kitchens that serve the main restaurants are also located in the bottom areas. All the rooms look the same. There's a lot of noise coming from the engine room, which makes it creepy. The pipes are clanking and popping sounds bust from random places. The lights are flickering. There are shadows following you as you're moving with the flashlight you picked up from one of the rooms. You're scared. You call out to see if there's anyone there, but all you hear is your own voice echoing through the corridors. You're lost. You try to find your way back to the top decks, but everything looks the same. You start running and panicking. You trip over something and lose your flashlight. It's very dark. You wave your arms around and try to find your way out. You put your hands on the wall and try to navigate around. You see a bright light at the end of the corridor. You walk towards there. You end up reaching one of the central kitchens with plenty of food lying around. There are dozens of fridges and a whole kitchen dedicated to desserts. Your stomach growls from hunger. You eat some of the most exotic and top-of-the-line food that can cost up to $1,000 per dish. You spend the next few days gobbling up the yummy treats, playing golf, and partying on the dance floor. 3 days later, you maxed out most of the fun stuff of the cruise ship. While basking in the sun, you see an island in the distance. You grab your binoculars and notice the dock where the ship is heading to. You quickly head to the control center and see the map. It needs 30 minutes to arrive, but you don't know how to park the cruise ship. You end up lowering the anchor to stop the ship. You'll then use the rescue boats for rowing to the island. You gather some supplies and food and row. Maybe someone on the island can help you out. You descend and row to the shore. You enter the city, but it's empty. People have left their cars in the middle of the road during their commute. You head to the police station to see if you can get some answers, but nothing. Months later, you've explored the whole island and saved plenty of food from the cruise ship. After 5 years, you've taken complete control over the island and learned how to drive the cruise ship properly. You haven't seen a single person since that day on the cruise ship. It's like everyone picked up and evaporated. 10 years later, you're sitting in the radio tower. You have a full-grown beard and fields of crops all over the island. You haven't stepped foot on the cruise ship for 3 years. Suddenly, you catch some signal on the radio in Morse code. Someone from the mainland is trying to contact you. You decide to get back on the ship and make your way there. What would the Earth look like if it was born in another solar system? I did a little research for you to find out, and the results were surprisingly wholesome. There are some warm tropics, strong winds, and giant dragonflies. But okay, let me explain from the very beginning. Since 1995, NASA has discovered more than 4,100 planets outside the solar system. Unfortunately, most of them are either flying ice balls like Neptune or gas giants like Jupiter. But there are still as many as 161 planets similar to our Earth. And one of them is very close to us, in the Alpha Centauri constellation. There are 3 stars in this constellation. 2 of them are called Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B. If you live in the southern hemisphere, you've probably seen them. They're very bright. Because of that, they look like one big star. They rotate around each other very slowly. And there's the 3rd star, chilling around not far from them. It's a teeny tiny red dwarf, Proxima Centauri. It got its name because of its proximity to our Sun. This star is the most interesting one, so let's talk more about it. Proxima Centauri is only 4.5 light years away from us. Oh, and 1 light year is about 6 trillion miles. Yep. If we went there, it would have taken just a little over 165,000 years of traveling in a space shuttle. Oh, you think that's a lot? For the universe, it's like checking on your fridge. Proxima Centauri is much lighter and much smaller than the Sun. It's also 2 times colder than the Sun, with a temperature of 3,000 Kelvin. That's why we can't see it without a telescope. On the bright side, though, it will burn for trillions of years, and you don't have to worry that one day it will eat us like our Sun. And yes, our twin planet is located right next to Proxima Centauri. This planet is called Proxima b. Yeah, I know, they got creative with all these names. I hope you won't get confused. It's slightly larger and more massive than the Earth. This planet is located in the habitable zone of Proxima Centauri. It means that there can be water and even some microorganisms there. Yes, it's possible that one day we'll find some life there. But right now, we don't know much about this mysterious planet. It's probably a rocky planet like our Earth and has a similar landscape, but this is just a theory. Who knows what kind of jokes the universe can throw at us? It would be a shame to fly 165,000 years just to stumble upon a giant piece of ice or something. Fortunately, we probably don't have to wait that long. The big brains are now developing a technology that would allow us to move at the speed close to the speed of light. If they succeed, we'll get to Proxima b in just 20 years. But anyway, this video is not just about Proxima b. It's about what would have happened if life had originated not in our solar system, but in Alpha Centauri. What if we were orbiting Proxima Centauri, or the other 2 stars? So now, let's imagine that the Earth has replaced Proxima b. I'm going to call this new planet New Earth. Guess I'm not very creative at naming either. First of all, the orbit. The new Earth must be about 25 times closer to its star than Proxima b is. Otherwise, it would be unimaginably cold. Let's move the planet a little closer. Excellent. The day still lasts 24 hours, but our orbital period is very high. Proxima b revolves around its star in 11 days. But we'll make it in just 8. Hey, a birthday party every week? Sign me up. Oh, hold on. There's another problem. You see, Proxima Centauri is a flare star. This means that sometimes, just out of nowhere, it throws out some stellar winds. These winds carry around a bunch of ionized particles, which then settle on the planets. Yeah, our Sun also does that, but Proxima Centauri tries to finish us off 2,000 times harder than our Sun, so the radiation levels are off the scale, to say the least. Don't worry, it's fine. All we need are incredibly strong magnetic fields. They will help us create a very thick atmosphere that can protect us from the Proxima Centauri's tantrums. So now it's going to be very warm. Or not. Another problem. Scientists are still not sure how exactly Proxima Centauri's planets rotate around it. What if they turn out to be tidally locked, like our Moon? Then one half of the new Earth will be a frying pan, and the other half will be some frosty deserts. Oh, it's fine, we'll just settle down somewhere in the middle. Didn't expect that I would ever say this, but it will definitely be warm at the North Pole. And if we're lucky with the rotation, we'll just get a cozy, warm planet. The average temperature is about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and there aren't any extreme temperatures. On the new Earth, we have much more water. The weather is generally pretty crazy, some very strong winds and quite destructive rains that can go on for quite a long time, but you can adapt. Temperature changes are much more noticeable in the mountains. Just like on Earth, the higher you climb, the colder it gets, except it's very cold right here at the top. Because of this, the mountains and hills have jungles below and snow-covered deserts on the tops. But in general, it's almost like the Earth's tropics. The flora is very rich, the trees are very low but lush. The thick atmosphere also makes flying easier, so there are a lot of large flying animals, like dragonflies with a wingspan of 16 feet. Moving on. The sky here is much lighter than that on Earth and very cloudy. Sometimes it may seem completely white. But the starry night is beautiful and bright. There are 4 suns. Our main one is Proxima Centauri. We can also see 2 bright Alpha Centauri stars. And finally, our old sun, which looks like a bright, distant star. I'll allow you to shed a tear for the old Earth. There's a few planets near us, like Proxima Centauri c. The host star is surrounded by 2 belts of cosmic dust, so get ready for some gorgeous, colorful night views. So what we have in the end is a little crazy, but a beautiful green planet. I personally wouldn't mind moving there already. What about you? Write in the comments. Alright, so now we know what would have happened if our Earth had been born near Proxima Centauri. What about the other 2 stars? Unfortunately, we won't be able to rotate near 2 stars at the same time. Scientists suspect that Alpha Centauri A and B have some kind of common planet that jumps from one orbit to another, but it's probably very cold. Let's choose Alpha Centauri A. Just like on the new Earth, here our average temperatures are about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but now the temperature variation is quite large. It goes from negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit at the South Pole to 113 degrees Fahrenheit at the equator. We'll be fine close to the north. The day is still 24 hours, and the orbital period is 1 year and 1 month. It's almost the same for the Alpha Centauri B, but the orbital period is about half a year. Other conditions are very similar to those on Earth. Changes in the seasons are almost not noticeable. The temperatures don't change much either. No matter where we settle down, the neighboring star will be clearly visible, but we probably won't see Proxima Centauri. And that's about it. Of course, all this assumes perfect conditions. Just like on Earth, one slightest change, whether it's a thin atmosphere or a bigger distance from the star, and it won't end well. We got really lucky with our Earth. But even so, the chances of finding a habitable planet are very high. Even with the tiniest possibility, there will be about 15 million planets in our universe that we can find life on.
You've finally done it! You've created a simulator that allows you to copy yourself into the apps on your phone to learn faster. You plug your phone in, open Google, and put on a helmet with goggles to get a 360-degree view. After hooking them up, you call your sister to activate the machine. She's not answering you, so you head to her bedroom where you see her doing a Tik Tok dance challenge. You tease her for it and pester her to activate the machine downstairs. She follows you while still using TikTok. She gets upset and, without you looking, changes the home page on your phone to TikTok. She then activates the machine. You're in the simulation, but something's wrong. You're going through a virtual wormhole. You see all kinds of apps circling you until you land flat on your face on a dark surface. You're scared. Your heart is thumping. You look around and see yourself in a room with a screen in front of you. It asks for your username. You shout all kinds of words, asking to let you out, but a red light blinks every time you do so. every word you say is picked up by the screen, which then displays it as your username while asking you to accept it to proceed. You say accept, and the wall opens. Your username is "Let me out!" You exit and enter a futuristic city glittered with purple and blue lights and tall towers with screens showing TikTok videos non-stop. The tallest tower shows the most trending videos today.
We'd like to continue helping you learn and giving you useful skill improvement tips. Got a thirst for knowledge? We've prepared 4 masterclasses on creating a 2D character animation from scratch, 10 hours of video lessons, practical tasks using professional software, and additional materials that you can use with your own projects.
While the other towers show other popular videos, you follow the road in front of you. It leads you into a crowd in the middle of a virtual Times Square. Everyone has a floating bubble above them with their username and bio written there. It also shows how many followers they have. Most of these people have just a handful of followers. They look like their profile pictures. Everyone is staring at you, since you're the only one who looks not like an avatar, but like a real human. You see 2 people standing opposite each other without moving. You see the bubbles above each of them change. They are now following each other. Suddenly, everyone stops and stares at the girl as she becomes verified. A blue tick appears in her bubble, and she vanishes. You run up to the one who has just followed her and try to get some information. You're the only one talking out loud, while everyone else is communicating through direct messages in their inboxes. You realize that you have to stand still and wait for someone to accept your DM. The person you're talking to receives your message and blocks it. You try to initiate another dialogue, but the person freezes and then walks away. You realize some people are looking at you in a peculiar way. They start following you. They're everywhere. You start walking fast and disappear into a sea of people where they can't find you. After a while, you dip into an alley and find an underground cafe. You enter and see a bunch of people sitting around doing nothing. You try to talk to some of them, but they don't answer. Even weirder, they don't have faces. None of them have followers. They don't respond to anything. And if you try to communicate with them, they just spaz out some advertisements. You look at the screen in the room. It shows your face. TikTok is after you. You hear a knock on the door, and dozens of people rush in. They're the internal security of TikTok, and they're after you. You exit through another room. Now you're inside a building where many of these bots are living. They're behind you and getting closer. You reach a dead end with a window in front of you. You turn around and see the security running straight at you. You have no choice but to jump out of the window. You get a running start and sprint through the glass. You land on the roof of a neighboring building. Every tower is now displaying your username and profile pic as wanted. You have no idea why they're after you. You make your way to another alley and hide in a dark corner. It seems you've lost them. You check your settings to see why you're the most wanted man on TikTok. It shows that you're an invalid user. The app thinks you're a glitch that's going to destroy the very fabric of TikTok. You know for a fact that it's just the cybersecurity of TikTok working to catch any bugs or attacks. You open your settings, but you can't do anything since they blocked you. You open Search and type in your sister's name. It turns out she's verified with a blue tick, which will be difficult to track. You head back out and try to search for her. You hear some people walking around and quickly leave the alleyway. You get back to the crowd. You can't act hysterically anymore, or you'll draw attention to yourself. You reach Hashtag Avenue, where all the trending videos are. So far, no one has noticed you. The most popular hashtags are at the top. It's quite a walk to get there. You browse through most of them, but can't find your sister. Then you remember that she was dancing, so you check the hashtag dance and try to locate her. You find out that the video she was doing earlier is one of the most popular videos. You finally find her, but the security stops you and chases you along Hashtag Avenue. You randomly appear in various trending videos. You reach a dead end and the security catches you. They escort you to a room where they try to get information out of you. They think you're a bot, but you keep telling them that you invented the machine to copy yourself into TikTok virtually. They're not buying it. Eventually, they try to extract you, but it's not working. They try to figure out what to do, but they don't let you leave. While they're transporting you to another facility, you manage to slip out of their sight and sneak off to search for your sister. This time, you have to be on high alert. TikTok is searching for you. Users have seen you in hashtags, so they're also on the lookout. Out of nowhere, large cameras pop out. They're trying to spot you. Any slip up, and you could be stuck in TikTok for good. You make one last attempt to get to your sister. You find a hat and a jacket to disguise yourself. Now it's impossible for you to interact with anyone, since they can detect your activity. But you have to take this chance for her to get you out. Eventually, you go back to Hashtag Avenue and head to your sister. You find some of the most popular TikTokers chilling together. Your sister is among them. There's a lot of security, so you keep it low. After a while, you slowly approach her and take her aside. You activate the chat option and ask her to head downstairs to the basement and unplug you from the system. But before you can finish the last few words, the security guards rush over to you and start chasing you. But this time, all cameras are on you, and there's no place to go. You surrender yourself to the security, and they take you to a locked room you can't escape from. You sit there worried. You're bouncing your knees and rubbing your palms together. You have no idea if your sister has received the full message or not. Hours pass, and no word from outside. You may have blown it. But suddenly, you get a notification from your sister. You try to type, but nothing is working. You start feeling funny. Everything around is shaking. The walls start glitching, and you see the real world. You get pulled into a wormhole, and you wake up in your lab. You're breathing heavily, trying to piece the recent events together. You feel like you've been in TikTok for half a day, but apparently it was less than half an hour. Your vision is clear, and the first thing you see is your sister filming you with her phone. She's grinning from ear to ear, not knowing what you've actually gone through.
Now, if you've ever watched a cartoon about an elephant, you've surely noticed a scene where this huge animal is running from a small mouse. That's because the myth surrounding them, the one about elephants being scared of mice, is as big and powerful as these animals are. It turns out elephants do not have any particular dread of these small rodents, but they don't see well and tend to move a bit slowly. So they may be spooked by a faster-moving animal or even a bird if they're caught off guard. Speaking of myths surrounding animals, we've all been told at one point that bats are blind. In reality, these small flying creatures can see, but their vision is reduced to black and white hues. But at night, they can see way better than we do. Their vision lacks the color receptors that we have, but in low light, we don't see much color either. Bats have a built-in sonar and can navigate their surroundings better at night. That's because they calibrate their direction based on how sounds bounce back from the nearest objects. The myth about bats being blind probably appeared because these animals don't see as well as we do in daylight. If an insect falls from a certain height, does it sustain any damage? Well, the subject is a bit complex, but let's take ants for example. Ants don't get any injuries during such a fall, and that's because they're so small. A lot of other insects can fall for miles and still be fine. The explanation has a lot to do with math and physics, but to put it simply, so I can understand it, most insects are not heavy enough to impact the surface they hit. More so, while falling, they don't actually gather speed, they slow down. An ant's relative large surface area for that tiny weight creates a lot of drag as the bug moves through the air, so it slows down as it reaches the end of its flight. There's a similar myth surrounding pennies falling from a tall building. Some people claim that when a penny is dropped from a great height, it speeds up, and it can end badly for a person in its way. In reality, because of its size and shape, a penny falling down from a tall building can cause the same damage as a falling leaf. Should it fall on your head, you'd only feel a tiny bit of pressure. As it descends, the penny collides with air particles, which prevents the small object from accelerating. And of course, that's a drag. That resistance of air surrounding it is the reason why the penny cannot harm anyone. There are some other examples that may get a bit more dangerous, like a ballpoint pen, for example. It all depends on its design and the way it falls down to the ground. It can spin, flutter, or just go straight down, depending on the way of descent. A dropping pen might even damage a sidewalk and cause some injuries to pedestrians. Now, remember the 5-second rule? Yeah, that's a myth too. Even if you picked up that cookie as soon as you dropped it on the floor, eating it is still not safe. Bacteria can get on your food very fast. Pieces of food with wet surfaces, like fruit or a slice of tart, can pick up harmful organisms from the ground even faster. Just because you've just finished scrubbing your floors doesn't necessarily make them clean. Some germs can survive for longer periods of time, and you need very harsh chemicals to get rid of them. If you drop something while enjoying your dinner, your safest bet will be to just throw it away. You know how some people say that hitting the snooze button gives you some extra time to rest? Not only is it untrue, but hitting the snooze button can also reduce your sleep quality. Those 10-minute intervals of sleep you get over and over again aren't the good type of sleep. It's fragmented. If anything, it'll make you feel more tired during the day. More so, you can actually sleep too much, and oversleeping makes you even sleepier and can affect your metabolism and your energy levels. Not to mention, it can be a real pain for people sharing the same bed or room with you. I know. Breaking up with the snooze button can be a real heartbreak, so let's see what you can do. First of all, set a realistic alarm. If you're more of a night owl, don't force yourself to wake up really early in the morning if you don't have to. Find a sleeping schedule that works for you, and most importantly, stick to it. Get out of bed as soon as you wake up. The change in posture will trigger the right chemicals in your body that will eliminate your need to go back to sleep. As a last resort, you can even move your alarm clock across the room. If you need to get out of bed to hit the snooze button, you're less likely to get back to sleep. You might have heard that lightning never strikes the same place twice. Well, this information is also dangerously wrong, as lightning often occurs in the exact same place, or at least nearby, twice. Also, if you're ever in an open field during a thunderstorm, the best course of action is to find shelter. Don't touch anything mechanical or electrical either. If you're indoors, stay away from the windows. Should the storm start while you're kite flying, best to postpone it until it's over. Let's move on to those myths about the human body. Some people say we only use 10% of our brain at any given time. This information is false. I only use 5%. Actually, our brain is busy all day long and through the night as well. It never turns off completely, not even when we sleep. Our brain works like a small factory. Each area is designed to help us with a particular task. Most of the time, our brain is preoccupied with doing things we aren't even aware of, like breathing, walking, or digesting food. Each time you learn a new language or get better at a certain skill, you don't unlock a new part of your brain because it's never idle. But depending on the activity you're doing, you may be utilizing some portions of your brain in a new way. Now, pet lovers may have heard this one. A dog's mouth is cleaner than that of a human. Myth alert, their mouths are much dirtier than ours. Dogs can also carry a lot of diseases, especially if they are not well taken care of. Apart from that, a dog uses its mouth for a whole lot more things than we do. The animal needs it to get to know its surroundings better since it doesn't have opposable thumbs. So they end up using it to pick up things from the ground. And these things haven't been washed, obviously. They also tend to lick all sorts of things that aren't necessarily sanitary, like garbage, floors, or their own paws and stuff. As endearing as it might be, try to remember this the next time your dog rushes to lick your face. You know, we have many more senses than the classic 5 we've all heard about: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. Apart from these, we have at least 4 others. We human mammals have proprioception, which is our ability to orient ourselves in space. Then we have thermoception, which is our ability to estimate our own temperature and figure out if we're hot or cold. We have equilibrioception, that's our sense of balance. Lastly, we have interoception, or the sense of our own physiological condition. It's the sense that allows us to figure out whether we're hungry or sleepy. Here's a cool party trick. Next time someone talks to you about how we humans have 5 senses, barge in and say you have 9. Before you start explaining what each of them does, let them wonder if you're a superhero with supernatural powers. Check this out! There's a giant tornado heading towards you, and it's so fast. These twisters can move at crazy speeds of more than 250 miles per hour. Plus, they can carve a pathway 50 miles long and a mile wide. Sometimes you can see them coming clearly, while in some cases, low-hanging clouds or rain can hide them, so they sneak up on you and you don't even see them. And in most cases, a tornado can develop so fast that no one can even warn you in time if it's already too close. And now, this insane storm is really close. Maybe you have a couple of minutes to get somewhere safe. Do you have a basement? Go hide. Or maybe, I know this is a crazy idea, but what do you think about going inside a tornado to check what it would be like? Now, some tornadoes appear as rope-like swirls, while others have wide clouds in the shape of a funnel. And here's the second one, right before you. Look at these whirling winds born in a thunderstorm. They extend down from it to the ground. Many times, hail joins the party too. The U.S. itself has something like 1,000 tornadoes per year. Texas holds the record with about 120 tornadoes per year, a record not to be proud of. But you'll generally see most twisters in Tornado Alley, which is a stretch of land in the midwestern part of the U.S. They develop when warm, moist air coming from Mexico meets cool, dry air from Canada. These two clash and turn into a powerful storm that at some point can spawn tornadoes. And you'll see most tornadoes there between April and June, though lately some have come even in December. They can range from a regular dust storm to an incredibly powerful force that can carry away cars, large trees, and even houses. But this is a unique chance. You've never been this close, right? Plus, it's a gigantic one. You don't often get to see such a big one. Okay, ready then? It's getting closer. You feel the wind getting stronger while tossing dirt and debris in your face. You close your eyes and whoosh! You're inside, and it's crazy. Vicious winds are hurling and spinning you around. They're lifting you up at the same time. Feeling dizzy? Feeling like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz? Now may be a good time to check what's really happening to you, while inside swirling with winds and… oh wait! Is that your neighbor's motorcycle spinning together with you? Hope it'll stay that far away. Now, let's take a moment to catch up. Being in the middle of a raging tornado is actually something you might survive. But I won't lie to you, it won't be easy. The first thing you'd sense would likely be the temperature changes. Inside this crazy twister, it can be 36 degrees colder than outside of it. That's because the center of the tornado funnel spins all the time. All that funneling makes the inside of the vortex way colder, and it makes the air way thinner than you used to. The air would be 20% less dense than, for example, what you would find at high altitudes. Now, I hope you're not planning to stay there for too long. Disclaimer here, the atmospheric pressure inside this swirling vortex is so low that your lungs won't be able to extract enough oxygen. Now, to give you a perspective of all this, breathing inside a tornado is like trying to get some air at an altitude of 26,000 feet. That's a pro level, similar to climbing Everest. So yeah, you'll need some help just to be able to take a regular breath. In short, you'll probably pass out after only a couple of minutes. But don't worry, I brought you this special mask, so breathing is not a problem anymore. Hey, did you notice how smooth the airflow from the inside is? Some storm watchers ended up inside a tornado. Later, they said it all looked so chaotic with all those raging clouds and winds swirling around. But from the inside, the air is surprisingly smooth. But that doesn't mean you'll get a peaceful ride because of it. And it's not a solo party in that thing. The neighbor's motorcycle is not the only thing you'll see there. Wood, bricks, glass, maybe even cars, cows, motorhomes, bricks, roofs, and other big objects. You'd be pretty lucky if nothing crashes into you in all that chaos. With all that debris that's swirling at, for instance, 310 miles per hour, you can hardly avoid it. But let's just say a miracle happens and you got through it. Now you're really dizzy, and you're just wondering when all of this is going to be over and if you're even going to be able to come out of this gigantic tornado. Well, the tornado will eventually slow down. It happens because cool air enters the twister. Just because things are settling down, it doesn't mean you can relax. Well, your stomach can, since all that crazy swirling is done, but the tornado will drop you from whatever height you're on when it stops. If you're somewhere in the countryside, there might be some soft bale of hay to break your fall. Oh wait, we're talking about a twister that's probably more than 45,000 feet tall, so that won't work. I hope you brought your parachute, because now would be a good time to pop it. Nope. Hey, don't worry, I'm all about happy endings, so I'll help you out. Here you go. And now you're slowing down, enjoying the view, if you even see anything around you from all that dizziness. How come there are clear sunlit skies from your left, you may wonder? It's not unusual. Tornadoes often form near the edge of a thunderstorm. It's like a border between two different worlds. And it wasn't even windy. Plus the air was very still before it hit, right? Well, that's common too. Okay, I think you know this kind of scenario is impossible in reality. So it would be best to find a safe spot quickly if a tornado is close by. Use your underground shelter first. And if you don't have one, your basement could be the next best choice. Prepare ahead of time with a battery-operated TV or radio, together with fresh batteries, or a device with internet to be able to hear the latest updates on the tornado. Include some non-perishable food, water, and other essentials prepared too. As it turns out, some people really were picked up by tornadoes, and they managed to go through it. A tornado actually dropped them a few hundred feet away without a scratch. Hey, I'd say that's a whole lot of bother just to save some bucks on Uber. But you can't have a guarantee you'll be safe or where you'll end up. It would be incredibly hard to get out of one of those big and fierce ones, though, like supercells. They fall into the category of the strongest type of storms, mostly thunderstorms. And imagine falling into waterspouts. Those could be fine, though, at least the beginning, because they're weak and they form over warm water. So they could be like a part of your spa day, at least until they move inland and turn into a real tornado. Now, dust devils wouldn't be that pleasant. They're not that big, but we're talking about columns of air that rotate at large speeds. And you can easily see them because of all that dirt and dust they pick up, which is why you need glasses for that. Whoops, wait, I forgot that, so I can't help you this time. But if it makes you feel any better, they're not associated with thunderstorms. Don't know why that would make anyone feel better when I think about it. But if you're willing to jump into a fire tornado, I'll find you a special suit that will keep you safe while spinning through smoke, gas, and flames. I promise. Columns here are narrow and they rise vertically into the air, similar to a dust devil. Of course, the heat is crazy. And as updrafts are becoming stronger, and if there's enough dry fuel, a fire whirl is turning into a real fire tornado that extends from the ground up to the cloud, moving incredibly fast. Okay, let's stop now. I'm pretty dizzy.
Staying in the water that's 70 degrees Fahrenheit for a long time definitely won't do your health any good. A water temperature of 50 degrees Fahrenheit is a nightmare. It feels much colder than the air of the same temperature. The passengers of the Titanic were in 28 degrees Fahrenheit water. Can you imagine how cold it was? Even the iceberg that the Titanic met was warmer. The water didn't freeze because of the high salt content. But what if the temperature had been higher? What if the Titanic had sunk in warm water, say 120 degrees Fahrenheit? Theoretically, this could have happened had the waters of the North Atlantic met a warm undercurrent from the southern part of the ocean on disaster day. But this heat wouldn't have been enough. The ocean area is too vast, and the temperature is too low at night. The warm undercurrent alone wouldn't have made a difference for people who were overboard. But if the Titanic had sunk in another place at one particular moment, perhaps then all people could have been saved, thanks to an incredible natural phenomenon. Now, on board everybody, our voyage to a parallel universe begins. It's a moonless night on April 14th through 15th. The Titanic crashes into an iceberg. Icy water floods the lower decks. The captain sends a distress signal. The nearest rescue ship, Carpathia, is 58 miles away from the sinking Titanic. At maximum speed, Carpathia will get there in 4 hours. That's quite long, even in warm tropical waters, since your body loses heat anyway. The Titanic begins to sink. The crew downs lifeboats. Some of the passengers jump overboard. The ship is going under the water. There are no boats left, so you jump along with other passengers. It feels as if you got inside a huge iceberg. The water is so cold that it's hard for you to move. You can't even scream because there's no air in your lungs. But at this moment, you feel a pleasant warmth coming from the depths. The heat rises above your knees and waist, then reaches your neck. Finally, you regain control of your muscles and can breathe deeply. You notice that all the other passengers feel the same warmth. The water becomes a little hot. It makes you happy. But in a moment, horror replaces your delight. The ocean begins to foam. And not because of the high temperature, but because something is rising from the ocean floor. You hear a heavy, low sound coming from the depths. It's not a sinking Titanic, but something bigger. You can see a huge iceberg nearby. It's melting, and a huge chunk is breaking off from it. 1,000,000 bubbles appear on the surface. Then you feel something hit you in the leg. Thousands of strange, lightweight rocks are rising from below. There are also massive plates among them. People use them as lifeboats. You climb on one of those rocks and look at the ship. It doesn't sink, since all the water is bubbling and pushing the vessel up. You take one of the small rocks and understand everything. It's pumice. An underwater volcano has woken up right under the ship. Thousands of tons of volcanic rock are floating to the surface. When it erupts, its magma shakes the entire space, heats the water, and destroys the seabed. But it doesn't result in anything destructive on the surface. The enormous pressure of hundreds of millions of gallons of water suppresses the volcano's power. Molten rocks of the Earth's crust are pressed against the seabed, and pumice rises to the surface. And here's why it happens. The upper part of Earth consists of many solid parts, tectonic plates. These plates collide with each other and divide. And when one part separates from another, the magma immediately comes up. So, all volcanoes are these unstable fault sites. If the Titanic had sailed over one of these areas during an eruption, many passengers would have been saved. Back in the parallel universe, you notice the Titanic starts sinking again. The water is no longer bubbling. The volcano has gone out. In a matter of seconds, the ocean turns icy again. Fortunately, you have your pumice lifeboat. This is enough to wait for rescuers. But let's imagine a situation with no underwater volcano and an iceberg. A situation when the water was warm from the very beginning. One of the engines in the motor compartment of the ship breaks down. Several pipes burst because of increased pressure, and now there's a crack in the ship's body. Water is filling the lower decks. The ship is sinking. People evacuate on lifeboats. There's less panic since the night is warm and no one is freezing. Each passenger gets a life jacket. The ship is breaking. You understand that you have to jump. The Titanic goes underwater. Many passengers fall overboard in horror. They dive into the dark ocean and immediately come to the surface. Panic and complete chaos take over. The ship disappears in the dark, and finally, it's all silent. A few minutes pass, and you notice there's no panic at all. The water is warm. Almost all passengers have life jackets. Someone is floating on the wooden ship wreckage. After a couple of hours, the water no longer seems so comfortable. The ocean takes away your body heat. To keep warm, passengers swim closer to each other in a tight circle. Yeah, now it's quite possible to wait for another couple of hours till the rescuers come. People on lifeboats sail closer and take those who freeze on board. Passengers take turns, 20 minutes in the water, then 20 minutes in boats. It's essential not to take your clothes off. Even a wet outfit helps keep your body warm for longer. And when it seems that everyone is saved, somebody screams. A girl in a boat looks scared. She trembles with fear and points her finger into the black water. Passengers try to see what's there and notice a triangular fin. 1, 2, 3. There are so many of them! The noise of the sinking ship has attracted a group of sharks. And now, they are circling the survivors, hoping to satisfy their hunger. They're swimming slowly. It doesn't look like they're going to attack. But you should keep your eyes open, as these fish are some of the world's most aggressive and dangerous sharks, the bull sharks. They can be agile, fast, and unpredictable. They don't swim in the cold waters of the Atlantic, but the water in this parallel universe is perfect for them. The sharks are strong and sturdy. They create the illusion of slowness to relax their prey. They're called bull sharks because of their short, blunt muzzle, like that of a bull, and they like to hit a target or other sharks with their forehead. Several fish are ramming boats. Someone falls into the water. Fortunately, people help them back on board. The sharks aren't going to retreat. Chaos and panic ensue. People are screaming and splashing the water with paddles to scare away the fish, but it doesn't help. One of the sharks opens its toothy mouth and clings to a boat. At this moment, you notice more fins nearby. A pack of great white sharks arrives at the party. They are some of the most dangerous animals on the planet. They're big, fast, and strong, and their 300 triangular teeth lined in several rows are sharp as blades. Great white sharks swim around the boats and scare away the bull sharks. You fall off the boat and see a big fin approaching you. Fear awakens the survival instinct in you. You're trying your best to swim away from the shark as far as possible. Of course, it's useless, since the shark is much faster and will definitely catch you. You feel your foot touching the shark's nose. The other foot gets into the toothy mouth. You scream in horror. After a second, the shark lets you go. Great white sharks rarely attack people. If they bite, it's just to test you. After all, the shark's favorite prey is seals. It simply loses interest if it realizes you aren't a seal. But if the shark is starving, it doesn't matter to it what kind of prey you are. Lucky for you, this one is not like that. Those survivors in the boats have almost nothing to fear either. Great white sharks don't attack them. They can push boats slightly, but only to test them. The great white shark is swimming away from you. But a bull one appears, and it looks like it's hungry. The shark is swimming towards you, opens its mouth, and a loud ship horn penetrates the water. This is the RMS Carpathia that has come to the rescue. All the sharks swim away scared. All passengers are saved. Back in our universe, another ship that had been nearby could have saved the passengers much earlier. But that's another story. You're sitting at a coffee shop on Mars, keeping your head down, trying not to draw any attention to yourself. It's crowded, and many people are singing, dancing, and talking loudly about life on Mars. Your drink arrives, and you sip on it. So far, no one recognizes you. You're wearing a cloak with a large hoodie to cover your face and disguise yourself from everyone. Someone accidentally bumps into you and sees your face. The music stops, and now everyone is staring at you. You have nowhere to hide or run. You ignore the leering eyes and keep sipping on your beverage. An old bearded man sits in front of you, amazed to be in your presence.
"So, it's true. No one believed you'd make it,"
he says. You don't reply and continue with your drink. Everyone else gathers around you. Another man speaks.
"Well, are you not going to tell us how you escaped from the clutches of the space Kraken?"
Everyone gasps in shock. No one has ever made it to tell the tale of the Kraken, except you. Your plan was to find your messenger to take you to a spaceship far away from this planet. But it's too late, now that everyone knows you're here. And the messenger fled, knowing all the attention was on you. You lay back your hoodie and explain what happened. 2 days ago. You're in your full gear, ready to make the voyage into deep space. You have a solo ship that's designed to maneuver through all the obstacles in space. You prepare the rest of the gear and fuel up. Everyone is watching you, knowing that you might not make it back. But the Kraken has been floating in space for too long, disrupting shipping containers bringing in goods. A small ship like yours can sneak past its acute sense of smell and vision. but larger ships will get destroyed. You made it your mission to find this Kraken and study it. If you learn its ways and patterns, you can figure out how to get rid of it. Everyone says their goodbyes, and you lift off. You know that it'll be a very long way to get there, possibly 3 days in the emptiness of space. You saw some quick footage of it, but no one knows exactly where it sleeps, or if it even does sleep. You put on some tunes and set your ship for cruise control. You make some notes and set the camera to document yourself while you prepare everything you need. You also have some cameras outside recording everything that moves, even thermal sensors to catch living creatures floating in space. After a few hours, you exit the safe quarters of Mars and enter into the hostile territory. There is no place to hide or anyone to help you. A few little ships like yours pass by now and then. They watch you going further to the Kraken. You notice many floating signs powered by machines warning you about the Kraken. The cameras start recording, and you begin your video journal, which is transmitting to your network at home. So far, nothing. It's quiet and dark. Hours pass, and you're just floating in the middle of nowhere. You almost feel like you want to turn around, but then you pick up something in the sensors. You see a large live object nearby. You turn off the lights and slow down your ship. You resume recording and start talking to yourself, explaining everything. The object is getting closer and closer. You move aside to avoid it and latch on to a floating rock, but you still don't see anything. Out of nowhere, you see some glowing jellyfish-like creatures flowing together in a cluster. On your thermal sensors, they appear to be large objects, but in fact, they are just little creatures. According to your studies, these creatures are some of the main foods for the Kraken, so they're probably running away from it. After a few minutes, the creatures float away, and you launch yourself out and turn the lights back on. A few more hours pass, and you still see no Kraken. Suddenly, a whoosh shakes your ship, and you're thrown slightly off course. You notice that a large object has spiked your thermal sensors and left. You keep going and check the playback settings to see if your cameras manage to catch something. You try to look carefully, but it seems like a gust of wind blew past you, which is weird because there is no wind in space. You check the thermal sensors and notice that a large object shaped like the Kraken has zipped past you. It's still around, and it has probably caught your scent. Your system's got some DNA particles and are studying them. After a while, they show that the Kraken's skin can change colors according to its surrounding. Its skin is thick and made up of some cosmic fluorescent material that is new to any creature you've ever come across. The system continues studying it. After a while, the Kraken goes off your radar and disappears. You circle back, trying to find it. People back on Mars can see the data and already have information about its size and skin quality. They even see some footage you've managed to catch. As you continue driving towards it, you open your floodlights, trying to see anything. Your cameras are still rolling. Suddenly, the Kraken changes skin color and appears right in front of you. Its large tentacles flash around, whipping nearby space debris. Its large eye that's as big as a bus looks right at you. It opens its mouth, and you see layers of sharp teeth circling like a grinder. It has a large beak that can break your ship easily. It starts flashing its colors rapidly as a way to warn you. It shoots out some liquid to move in a no-gravity space environment. It's moving towards you until it launches itself. Your ship has an auto force field for protection, but it can't sustain the powerful bite of the Kraken. After only a few seconds, the shield breaks, and your ship spirals down to another planet. You crash-landed in a swampy land. Your ship has survived, but it can't take off. The analysis of the Kraken is ready. It shows that it doesn't need oxygen to breathe, and its DNA is evolving. Now that it got a bite of your force field, it can adapt itself to create a bioforce field of a similar nature. But you crashed on a planet that is foreign to you. You put on your safety suit and observe the environment. The atmosphere is filled with nitrogen and sulfur. You get out and walk around. It has similar gravity to that of Earth. As you venture through the swamp, You start seeing little skin particles similar to those your ship has caught. The liquid below you is some foreign substance that seems to be deteriorating your suit, so you opt to hover. The trees are strange and seem to be living off the atmosphere, but there is no sign of life anywhere. Suddenly, you see a huge crater that leads to the center of the planet. You enter it and see some ships similar to yours. It seems that the Kraken knocked them off course, and they all crash-landed on this planet. Many of them seem to be intact, while others are completely obliterated. Your sensors pick up another reading. It senses another creature dwelling in the center. You try to get closer. You're doing your best to be as gentle as possible, but you feel the ground shaking below you. You duck down and try to avoid the rocks falling overhead. A large tentacle pops out of nowhere, and then another and another. It swings itself out and crawls in the open. According to your system's studies, this Kraken is 10 times larger and even looks different. It doesn't spot you, but it can sense that you're around. It starts thrashing the planet, trying to find you. It knocks your ship. You try to find a way to start it, but it's missing a piece. You find another abandoned ship and take out the part that you need and put it on your ship. Your suit has an auto repair function that allows you to fix your ship without the tools. After a few minutes, it's ready for takeoff. You power up your ship, even though it's damaged, and lift off. You manage to sneak past the Kraken. Everyone at the coffee shop is silent. Many don't believe your stories. They had stopped receiving live transmissions before you were knocked off by the space Kraken. Out of nowhere, an alarm rings and warns that the Kraken has arrived. Everyone rushes off in a panic. You hear a voice in your head. It's a bunch of gibberish, but you start getting visions of the Kraken talking to you. It knows you're here, and it's coming for you.
You wake up with pizza boxes piled up on top of each other. You stretch your right arm and slide it across some wet spilled noodles you had last night. Your leg smears some chocolate cake from last week and stains your mattress. There are random papers, clothes, books, food cartons with food still inside them, and other random useless junk all over your queen-size bed. You're too lazy to get out of bed, but you have to get to work. You shove aside all the junk and slide it onto the already littered ground. There are plastic bottles, more fast food litter, clothes, dirty dishes, and animal fur on the ground. It's sticky and covers every inch of real estate to the point that you feel like you're walking on lava. You stare out the dirty window, look at yourself in the mirror, and sulk. This isn't the you you'd thought you'd be a year ago. The sun is shining and you just bought your brand new house. It's a nice place outside the city in a little friendly neighborhood surrounded by picket fences and blooming flowers. Your neighbors come up to greet you just as you pull in the driveway. They bring a casserole and some yummy desserts to welcome you to the neighborhood. You gleefully accept them and head inside your new pad. Throughout the week, you unpack your bags and arrange your furniture. You also just landed a new job which helped you afford this house. You wake up every day at 6 a.m. and come back home at 10 p.m. This new job is paying you well, but you don't have time for yourself or to keep your house in order. Over the next few months, you start ordering food every night and bringing leftovers to work. You haven't changed your bedsheet since you arrived and haven't vacuumed the floor since you first stepped foot inside. The smell inside is getting stronger, considering you're not taking out the trash or opening the windows to air out the house. You've also given up on sorting out your dirty laundry. You have no more clean clothes left, so you're reusing the same clothes for work, but they have food stains all over them. The bathrooms are not a place anyone would like to go. The running water drips and overflows onto the floor, making it damp inside. Since no sunlight enters, mold grows abundantly, providing a home for various bacteria and parasites. It's no wonder you call in sick every month. So much work has made you lose sight of your house and has affected your performance at work. You've gotten multiple warnings and have been told to take care of yourself and get new clothes or wash the ones you have. But the more clothes you buy, the more dirty stacks of clothes appear all over your house. There's no place to sleep anymore. Your bed is a mountain of junk, and your couch is home to boxes you haven't even unpacked since you moved in. You order a sleeping bag and crash in the dirty kitchen. Cockroaches are crawling on every inch of the kitchen floor, counter, and little crawl spaces. Rats have chewed on most of the wooden furniture and created a network of underground tunnels for them to access every area of your house. You hear the little rat tails clacking on the tiles whenever they run past your ear. You try to sleep, but the dishes in the sink are so stacked up that the dripping faucet channels water to run through the plates and glasses and splash on your forehead. You pick up your sleeping bag and place it in the basement. The smell is unbearable. There is moss growing in every corner and even a small puddle of stagnant water festering and providing a home for mosquitoes, bacteria, and other vermin. The rats and mice use this small pool as a swimming ground to have pool parties and clean themselves up after a long day of eating your food and creating tunnels. There are thousands of rats in every corner, but you somehow don't mind them anymore. You see little nests of baby rats in the dark corners. The wooden foundation is failing and being eaten away by termites and the buildup of mold. You wake the next day with rat footprints all over your body and go to work only to be kicked out and sent back home to clean yourself up. You try to shower, but the pipes are clogged and only a few drops of dirty water land on your body. You go to the backyard that has a dirt-filled patch where you were supposed to build a swimming pool, but didn't have time to follow up on it. You lay your sleeping bag on the dirt and try to find a garden hose to clean yourself. But rats have gnawed through the plastic, so it can't spray properly. Either way, you rinse yourself with water and try to dry yourself with some garbage bags since you can't find your towels in the sea of trash. You go back inside to watch TV, which surprisingly still works. You clear some space on your couch and order pizza. You have a stack of pizza boxes stacked on top of each other, forming a makeshift coffee table, and you rest your legs on it. The pressure and weight of your legs allows some insects to scurry away that have been eating the leftover crusts and cheese. The doorbell rings and you get up and answer it. The delivery guy is already in his car driving away from the stench. They all know you by now. It's a good thing you paid online. You go back to watching the movie while seeing some more critters crawling all over your TV set. Hours pass, and you realize that you need to wake up early for work. You make some room to sleep, but scratch your head on some sharp object lying around the couch. Months pass. The neighbors stop talking to you, and even straight up ignore you. They avoid you every time you leave your house. Mostly, they gossip and comment on your house. All the pests that came from your house are spreading throughout the neighborhood. Pest control cars are driving in and out of the neighborhood, visiting a new house every day. Flies and maggots have settled your house to the point that it's impossible to walk around and not have some flies circling your face. Anyone who drives by the neighborhood knows that your house is the source of the infestation. Many more months pass, and your house is unrecognizable. It's impossible to see the floor, and the walls have scratches all over them. Rats have taken over and nibbled on just about everything. They've become your new friends when eating and even finish some leftovers for you. The basement is completely flooded, and the water is leaking out to the main road. Other creatures have sought shelter in your home, including stray cats and dogs, raccoons, possums, and even bats. You have broken glass all over the floor from the busted light bulbs, and your mattress has holes all over it. You wake up with pizza boxes stacked all over you, and then look at the mirror. It's your 1-year anniversary of moving in, and this isn't the life you imagined. Out the window, you see your neighbors selling their homes, with some already gone, including the one who welcomed you when you first moved in. You turn around and, as if for the first time, you finally see that your house is such a mess. You spot a picture of yourself hanging on the wall. You put it there when you first moved in. You decide to fix your house and clean it all up. You know it'll take weeks or months, but you skip work and begin by cleaning up your room. You get boxes of garbage bags and start stuffing trash inside. You buy 3 new vacuum cleaners and start collecting all the dust and debris that is collected over the past year. After a couple of hours, you have over 20 garbage bags outside your house waiting to be collected. The stains will need to be scrubbed away, and the destroyed furniture will need to be thrown out. After 2 months of hard work, you manage to get rid of all the trash you can find. It takes you another week to scrub the floors and walls and order new furniture to replace the broken chewed-up ones. The biggest challenge is getting rid of the remaining pests and fixing the basement water problem. After making some phone calls, you get some pros to fix the water and get rid of the vermin. It takes you a total of 4 months to turn your place into a minty fresh pad to live in. Your garden is blooming, and you go back to work in fresh clothes with a wide smile. And you get to meet your new neighbors, who have heard all about you. Yep, you have some fences to mend, don't you? The stage is set. You're in the spotlight, and everyone is looking at you. The piano's glossy texture shines brightly in the light. You lay your fingers on the keys and start playing. Since you have 20 fingers on each hand, you can hit multiple notes and make the sound richer. Each piano chord can have extra octaves and additional notes now with 40 fingers on the piano. After you finish, everyone stands up and claps for you. The sound of clapping is so loud since the palms are huge to fit 20 fingers on each hand. Now you're in a boat in the middle of a lake, ready to go for a swim. Your friend pushes you in and races you to the shore. Since you both have 20 fingers and toes on each limb, it's easy to swim and paddle. They act like natural rudders. You beat him and make it to shore. After that, you swim back to the boat, paddling with your hands and feet. After swimming, you go for a hike and notice a nice wall to scale. You get your gear ready and place each large palm on a nice fitting rock. Your grip is tight and you hang on to many different rocks that aren't the typical size of a 10-fingered rock. You manage to climb to the top and see the breathtaking view of the countryside. An iron suit and a confident smile. Yup, you're ready to nail that interview. You walk into the building like you own it and wait for someone to escort you to the CEO's office. Everyone notices your confidence and smart look. You're called in for your interview. You unleash your disarming smile and pop your suit up. You enter the room and extend it for a sturdy handshake. With 20 fingers, you release a pressurized grip that leaves the CEO impressed and eager to know more about you. You leave the building gleaming with a winner's attitude, and it's not long before they call you back for another interview. Okay, you've got this. 20 grocery bags in the trunk of your car and 1 trip. The road is long and has lots of curves and hills. You stretch your fingers and crack your knuckles. You plan out the weight distribution so you can have it evenly divided on each hand. With 20 fingers, you grip different bags and hold 10 on each hand. It's heavy, but hey, think of it as a leg and shoulder workout. You take them out of your trunk and make it quickly across the plain all the way to your house. Success! In 1 trip, you managed to get all the bags except 1. Oh wait, never mind. You put the bag inside another bag before you left. But you do need to go back to your car and close the trunk. After a long day at work, you need to meet up with a friend you haven't seen in a long time, and you've been working way too hard today. On the way, you see a nail salon. You hop in for a quick manicure. But with 20 fingers on each hand, it's like doing a treatment for 2 people. Time is ticking, and you only have 1 hand done. Your friend calls you and tells you that she's waiting for you at the coffee shop. On to your next hand. After a while, you finish and rush to meet your friend. You're late, but at least you look good. You're attending a new tech launch with dozens of people showcasing all the new products. Many of the phones are slightly larger than phones suited for 10 fingers and two-handed people. The phones are large enough to be considered mini tablets. You pick up a sample phone and click away. Since you've got 4 thumbs, typing on the keyboard is smooth and easy. The screen is long enough to be supported by the rest of your fingers on each hand. You move over to the computers and see something interesting that catches your eye. A laptop with a wide keyboard for your fingers to type effortlessly. You open a file and type away. You're surprised at how easy it is to write a quick document. Too bad you have to wait until it's officially launched so that you can get your hands on one of these bad boys. You're at the gym warming up and getting ready for the next exercise. You enter a boxing ring and practice sparring with a boxing bag. Since you have 20 fingers on each hand, each fist you lay on it is stronger and louder than with a regular 10-finger fist. After each punch, you stretch your body and continue sparring. You move on to other exercises to get ready for the big day. You're in the forest practicing your bow and arrow aim. You line up 2 cans side by side, and another 2 cans side by side. You take your bow and extend it backwards with 10 fingers on each hand. You place 2 arrows neatly and let loose. You strike both cans with ease. Now, let's up the ante by adding 4 cans next to each other. You turn your bow sideways and retract the arrows until there's enough pressure to release. You pull back and let the arrows fly off. Another success! You knock out 4 cans without breaking a sweat. If you have 20 fingers on each hand, then you'll need at least 7 or 8 bullseye targets next to each other. The bows will be long, but keeping a good aim won't be so easy. After much concentration, you release the arrows and hit all of them right in the middle. Having 50 fingers on each hand will alter the way you look and walk. Your hands will be heavy, so you'll need a powerful set of arms to keep balance and support your fingers. Everything will be large, including your phone and laptop. A guitar will be designed to accommodate the number of fingers that can play around the fretboard. If a regular guitar has 6 strings on the neck, then these monster guitars can have an easy 30 to 40. The music won't be limited to human design and can achieve so much more. Every musical instrument can be designed to suit the current physical conditions, like having 50 fingers on each hand, like a trumpet, piano, harp, and saxophone. A 3-piece band will sound like an orchestra, and an orchestra will sound like, well, 5 orchestras. You're chilling at home playing some video games with your friend. Each control is the size of a coffee table. A hand that can support 50 fingers on each hand is no joke, so a controller is supported by a little stand pinned to the ground. There are so many buttons and pad controls that it's easy to get lost just by looking at it. You're playing a game of soccer while controlling each player in the game individually. With such power to move and coordinate 100 fingers in total, your brain is larger than average, and your multitasking skills are on point. In the end, you beat him. And after a rematch, he beat you. In the third game, you both hit a stalemate. You prepare a high five and slap his 50-finger palm with yours, producing sound waves that reach your neighbors across the street. A lot of fingers on each hand means that tangible and ergonomic things have to be a lot bigger than average. Going to a jewelry shop is a headache since you have to find the right ring that fits any of the 50 fingers on each hand. Producing any glove is a multi-billion-dollar industry since each glove costs so much to make. Drawing is also a challenge since holding a regular-sized pen isn't easy to simply draw something. Each pen and stationery equipment are 10 times bigger than what we have today, and also cost a lot more to make than regular-sized pens. Glasses of water are longer or fatter, so that you can properly grip them. The hand is a lot bigger, and the fingers go around the palm and resemble a sunflower. If you're hot, you can fan yourself with your hand instead of a regular fan. It'll be easier to scoop up some sand if you're building a sandcastle at the beach. With so much more space in your hand, you can make sand balls and create a mega-sized castle super fast. And if you're playing a game of snowballs, that get ready to have cannonballs instead of normal-sized snowballs. Oh, heck, smart! You are waiting for your garlic bread in the oven. While looking up at the stars through your kitchen window, you ask yourself, could you send garlic bread to space? And more importantly, could you still eat it if it came back? Some mighty important questions. Usually, when it comes to garlic bread, there are only two things people care about. Do we want cheese on it? And, oh yeah, eating it. That mouth-watering garlicky taste, combined with the soft warm bread. Okay, focus. How are we going to send the bread to space? Given that NASA's first space shuttle cost roughly $49 billion, I don't think they'll allow us to borrow a rocket ship for the day, since they may have, more important things to do. I know, it's hard to believe that some people don't take garlic bread as seriously as the rest of us. Don't worry though, all we need is a balloon. Not the kind of balloon we're used to being around at things like parties, where you're surrounded by pizza, burgers and bread buns, hot dogs and bread buns, and cake. I think bread might have too strong of a hold on me. Anyway, the kind of balloon we need is a weather balloon. A weather balloon is explicitly designed to reach high altitudes of up to 24 miles. It carries instruments beyond our atmosphere to send information on temperature, humidity, wind speed, and atmospheric pressure back to us. A French meteorologist, this guy, first started experimenting with them in 1896, and his work led to the discovery of the stratosphere. I wonder if he'd been proud of these balloons now operating as an extraterrestrial taxi service for our garlic bread. Maybe not, but I'm sure he'd be delighted knowing that hundreds of people worldwide today release these balloons for their own experiments every 12 hours. Most standard organizations believe that space officially starts at the completely arbitrated Kármán line, over 62 miles above us. Sending the bread into orbit would require a speed of tens of thousands of miles an hour. Without our rocket ship, which conventionally travels at a speed of 17,000 miles per hour, we won't be able to get the bread that high or to travel at that speed. Okay, no, you can still keep the rocket. I'm happy with my amazing weather balloon, which, by the way, will still get us a third of the way to space, bringing us to the area known as the edge of space. Given that the atmosphere up there is so thin, about 1% of the pressure at ground level, it's really not that bad of a substitute for actual space for this test. I was never comfortable with being over 62 miles away from my dinner anyway, so this works much better for my food abandonment issues. Oh, my ears! I can already hear you at your computer screaming, "What is this guy talking about?" I've seen videos of things like pizza being sent to actual space before, using a similar method. Why should we settle for the edge of space? Well, many cameras operating in those videos to document the object's journey use a fisheye lens. This lens exaggerates the Earth's curve compared to what it looks like at those heights, giving off the illusion that the camera's closer to space than it is. Glad we settled that. Unlike if I were to ask you which is better, pizza or garlic bread. Moving swiftly along, thank you. Now that we've got our weather balloon, to which we've reluctantly attached our garlic bread, the moment for takeoff has arrived. We launch the garlic bread to the sky and wipe the tears from our cheeks as we watch it disappear beyond the clouds. In comparison to a rocket, the pace of our balloon may as well be that of a tortoise, and it will travel at a speed of over 1,000 feet per minute. So, a good way to distract ourselves from the sadness of our bread's departure is by asking ourselves what the garlic bread's in store for during its journey. Well, in 2 hours, our weather balloon can rise above the clouds higher than the paths of jet planes, passing through the ozone layer in the stratosphere and reaching altitudes of 22 miles or higher. The balloon will endure temperatures as cold as minus 90 degrees centigrade, meaning we'd better have a microwave on hand should it make its way back to us. The balloon will expand as it ascends, from 6.5 feet up to 26 feet, because air pressure decreases as the balloon climbs higher in the atmosphere. What happens next would be a truly satisfying experience were my food not being put at risk as a result. Our weather balloon pops. And just like that, our garlic bread will begin the descent from the skies. Wind conditions dictate how far from the launch site the bread will land, but we can expect it to turn up no more than 75 miles away. As is the case for experiments with weather balloons, a parachute is attached to the cargo, which will help ensure the bread's safe return and a reunion with its best friend, my stomach. Some say it's a one-sided friendship. Even though it's this stomach of mine that's currently making animal noises from starvation. It's actual animals who now pose a threat as potential predators of snatching our dinner. Engineers have designed packaging for exercises like this, equipped with GPS and a servo. This packaging will close shut approximately 3,280 feet above the ground. It will protect the garlic bread from unwanted landing spots and the various jaws of the animal kingdom, dramatically increasing the likelihood of being able to eat the garlic bread if we can relocate it. In all actuality, weather balloons used for experiments like this are doing more damage to wildlife and nature than vice versa. Marine animals like turtles often mistake the remains of weather balloons in the water for jellyfish and eat them, thinking that they've just got themselves an easy meal. This is damaging for these animals, given the components of these weather balloons contain rubber and battery acid. Arguments have been put forth that weather balloon testing is ultimately another form of littering. If this video inspires you to try and send some food to space using balloons, keep this in mind. So, the hunt is now on, not for any wild animals, but ourselves. What's that saying though? Fail to prepare. Prepare to go without that fantastic piece of garlic bread that you've just launched into the edge of space, which you're now on your way to reclaim? Or is it just preparing to fail? It doesn't matter, as suggested by the parachute and protective packaging. We're doing neither. To ensure we could find the bread once it landed, we attach radio trackers to the balloon before launching it. These send a signal with a GPS position to the ground, which is then put on a map for us to chase, giving us a good idea of where the garlic bread will be found. Man, I love technology. And just like that, the moment has arrived. We've found our garlic bread intact. And after some moments of passionate hugging and loving strokes, I'm ready to take a bite. So, was the wait worth it? How's it taste? And can you eat it? Yes, you can. But the taste? Not that great, actually. And despite mentioning it earlier, I forgot to bring my microwave. The bread's been frozen from the frightening temperatures experienced on its journey. And I actually mean frozen. The bread itself has an icy middle. But before we can even discover this, we'll notice that when we go to rip a piece of the bread off, it doesn't tear as normal. Instead, it snaps off, as if we've just broken a piece off a twig. We can even hear the clicking noise. My warm, soft bread is no more. You'd be better off keeping this for dessert in the event you run out of frozen ice cream. On second thought, let's just throw it in the trash. Nonetheless, it's pretty cool that we were able to send this garlic bread to the edge of space and still end up eating it, right? Before I pass out from starvation, I'm going to the store to buy some more, which I definitely won't be sending to space. Why don't you let us know in the comments if there's any food you'd like to send to space for seasoning before eating?
There are tons of people outside. You're making your way through the laughing, chatting, shouting, and constantly moving crowd. It's a nice summer night, and it feels as if the entire city has gone for a walk. You decide to take a shortcut through the park. You're already near the lake when you trip, and the next thing you know, you're rolling downhill toward the water. Luckily, you stop in time not to get soaked through. Time to estimate the damage. A bump on your head, ice cream all over your clothes, hands, and face. Green spots left by the grass on your sneakers. And dozens of people laughing at your clumsiness. Well, it could be worse. You get to your feet and are about to climb the hill when the world around plunges into darkness. Oh no! The fall must have been more serious than you first thought. Did you hit your head hard enough to lose your eyesight? You calm down a bit when you hear people around screaming. What's going on? Is it a blackout? You can't see anything, not even the moon. After a couple of very tense minutes, the light is back again. You and other people laugh in relief. Nothing serious. You finally get back home. You're tired and still a bit shaken after your fall. So you take a quick shower and put an ice pack on the bump on your head. Soon, the ice falls to the floor. You're asleep. Beep, beep, beep. You try to make the alarm on your phone stop, but only send your gadget to the floor. Groaning, you sit up in your bed. Your head hurts. Supporting it with your hand, you get up and shuffle to the bathroom. Something strange catches your eye in the hall, but you can't for the life of you understand what it is. You switch on the light in the bathroom, getting mentally ready to see a huge purple spot on your forehead. And nothing. No, it's not that there are no marks on your face. The thing is, your mirror is empty. Well, not exactly. It just doesn't reflect you. You giggle. It sounds nervous. You come closer to the mirror. Nothing. You move farther away. Still nothing. Must be broken. That's when it hits you. Mirrors don't break. At least, not this way. If it doesn't reflect you, something must be wrong with you. You've got two plausible theories. One, after hitting your head, you fell into the lake and never got out, and now you're a ghost. Two, during the blackout, a vampire bit you, and everyone knows that vampires don't get reflected in mirrors. You visibly shake yourself. What are you even thinking about? Neither ghosts nor vampires exist. There must be something wrong with the reflective layer at the back. You try to look behind the mirror, but only hit your nose against the glass. You run to the bedroom to check your floor mirror. Empty. 3 minutes later, you discover that no mirror in your apartment reflects you. No one should find out, or I'll be locked up in a laboratory to the end of my days. You're pacing your room when your phone starts ringing. It's your friend Nora. She sounds strange. Hey, why don't you come to my place? I've already invited Nick and Allison. You thoroughly comb your hair and examine your face with the tips of your fingers. Unfortunately, you don't know if the bump on your forehead stands out. You put on a baseball cap, throw on your jacket, and leave the apartment. The streets look deserted, to put it mildly. Instead of the usual morning crowds, there are only a few people, and they look as if they're sneaking around. You're crossing a normally busy road when it hits you. There are almost no cars. Luckily, you manage to catch a cab. When you get into the car, the driver adjusts the rearview mirror so that you can't see him. Strange. At one point, you look mirror and notice a car driving behind your cab. And it would be nothing special if there was a driver in that car, but the mirror you're looking in claims the vehicle is moving on its own. So maybe this mirror invisibility isn't just your problem. Once you're at your friend's house, you realize Nora not only sounds, but also looks strange. Her lipstick is smudged, and she's apparently done up the buttons on her shirt the wrong way. It only confirms your suspicions. When your other friends come, they look no better. Nick's hair is a mess. Allison has some toothpaste on her cheek. It seems as if each of you is trying to behave nonchalantly, but fail miserably. Nora gives Allison a pocket mirror. Here, you've got something on your face. But Allison suddenly jerks her hand away, and the mirror falls to the floor. Surprisingly, it doesn't break. Instead, it just lies there, reflecting nothing. Like nothing at all. The surface of the mirror is blurry. Sometimes it seems to shimmer, but that's all. You all nearly jump out of your skin when the TV announces, "Breaking news!" The presenter, her voice shaking, informs people that after the blackout the day before, all mirrors stopped reflecting. At first, they didn't show people and other living beings. But just an hour ago, they turned into broken TVs, just shimmering and flashing at random times. After several moments of stunned silence, your friends start talking over each other. The shocking news and all the noise make your head hurt even more, so you just get up and leave. What you see outside makes you stumble. You spot at least 3 car accidents. Several cyclists are shouting at each other. A man is sitting on the sidewalk next to his fallen motorbike. Side and rear view mirrors have become useless all at once, and it's caused a wave of road accidents all over the place. You get home and are about to enter the elevator, but when you look inside, you see the large floor-to-ceiling mirror you used to like shimmer and flicker. You shiver and take the stairs. In the morning, your mirror still doesn't reflect you. This makes shaving a challenging and tricky task. In the end, you give up and decide to start growing a mustache and beard. At that moment, you don't understand yet how the absence of mirrors will complicate your life. Hairdressers and barbers are in extremely high demand. Makeup producers, on the contrary, lose tons of money every day. Beauty products are no longer popular. Applying makeup is so difficult these days that most people have given it up altogether. With no mirrors around, most people have started to eat more and have gained a bit of extra weight. They don't want to follow strict diets. Fewer and fewer people stress about their appearance. They become more self-assured and begin to appreciate their personalities more. Of course, almost no one risks driving without being able to see what's going on around. Even if people do drive, they move extremely slowly. No wonder. You need to stick your head out of the window all the time to make sure you won't cause an accident. Some drivers ask their passengers to do this. In this case, their cars look quite funny, with a head sticking out of every window. The main transport is now bicycles. People become fitter and healthier. The air is now clean and fresh, without exhaust fumes from cars. Different devices that used mirrors, like some kinds of telescopes, microscopes, and even streetlights, don't work anymore. Photographers can't use their reflex cameras with mirrors inside and have to get digital ones. The number of selfies people take is growing at incredible speed. Without mirrors, it's the only way to check what you look like. People also have more free time now. It comes as a shock how much time the average person used to spend in front of mirrors. Scientists work day and night to try to find a solution to this unexpected problem. They experiment with different materials, trying to find something that would reflect the world as well as mirrors did. Car manufacturers have changed their strategy. They have started to develop self-driving cars that need neither mirrors nor a driver. They interact with other cars on the road, and their passengers can simply relax in their seats and do whatever they want. How are you dealing with this situation? Well, you've grown an amazing beard, and now you look like a Viking. Thanks to lots of walking and cycling, you're muscled, suntanned, and energetic. You definitely don't regret this whole mirror situation. Hey, what's that noise? How long have you been sleeping? You try to move your neck. It's a little bit stiff. You've had a good nap, but fell asleep in an uncomfortable position. In the movie theater. Oh, now you remember. The movie was really boring. You were tired after a long day at work, so you couldn't help it. You look around. Everyone's out. You're alone. Everything is clean, with no popcorn or soda cans on the floor. Weird. The credits are rolling down the screen, so it's time to go. It might be pretty late, and you don't want to miss your bus. You get up, stretch, and slowly go to the door. You enter the hallway. No one is there. You're confused. Usually when you stay at the movie theater so late, someone walks you out and reminds you they're closing. And there's always a mess left by people who have been walking around all day, eating snacks and dropping popcorn to the floor. But now, everything is clean and peaceful, as if the movie theater isn't open at all. You check the bathrooms. No one's there. The lights are dimmed, but you can see where you're going. And still, everything looks kind of creepy with no one around. Hello? You try calling for people a couple of times. No answer. You follow the exit sign and get to the closed door. Temporarily closed because of renovation. Huh? How long is that temporarily? You start panicking and then suddenly get angry. How could the staff forget to wake you up? You start yelling, trying to open the door, but nothing works. You check your phone. Of course, it's off. You forgot to charge it. Then you suddenly hear some noise coming from one of the halls. You start shivering. Is it possible that someone else is trapped here too? You slowly move toward the hall and cautiously open the door. But it's just the beginning of another movie. This hall is empty too. Trying to distract yourself, you get popcorn, candies, soda, and even some ice. Finally, you're on time to get the best seat. Oh boy, that was epic! You were still sitting and laughing at some of those jokes you heard when suddenly a new movie starts. Great! Why not see that one too? Workers will probably get here in the morning anyway. Your friends are going to be so jealous when they find out you've spent a night in the movie theater for free. 2 more movies later, and you realize you have no idea what time it is, but you feel very tired. Tomorrow's a new day. It'll get better. Grr, still no news. Nobody's come. The noise coming from your stomach is getting louder, so you go and grab some new snacks. Time for some more movies. The marathon that you've always wanted to take part in. You hit the first hall. A comedy is on. You realize each hall shows its own movie genre, and when a movie finishes, a new one immediately starts. At one point, the screen always goes white. It's your cue that it's time to go to sleep. Days pass by with you waiting for workers every morning and watching new movies every day. There's some old movies too, in different languages and from different countries. Your daily routine is always the same. You get up and have breakfast. You found a large stock of sandwiches in the fridge. After watching several movies, you walk around and explore the place. Then lunch, some more movies, dinner, and it's already bedtime. You feel completely hypnotized by all the movies you watch. Some make you laugh so hard you can't fall asleep afterwards because you keep thinking about their plots. Others bring tears to your eyes. Some make you think. And there are movies that scare you so much that instead of falling asleep, you get up every 5 minutes to check every suspicious noise you hear. Your life doesn't change. No one comes. Every day is the same. At first, you still try to count how many days you're trapped at the movie theater, but after a while, you lose track of time. Your eyes have become red from staring at the screen for hours on end. You sometimes feel terrified when looking at yourself in the bathroom mirror. Your skin has gone pale. You've gained some extra weight, and your shoulders have become rounded from sitting and sleeping in an uncomfortable position. From time to time, you try to work out and add some healthy habits to your life. But most of the time, you feel as if you're the main character of some weird movie, the one where you can't figure out what's real and what's not. You keep seeing things out of the corner of your eye, but when you turn around, there's nothing. You decide not to watch scary movies anymore. And then you accidentally find yourself in a seat, waiting for the next movie to start, and before you know it, the movie has you hooked. And you can't stop watching even though you know you won't be able to sleep at night. You start feeling increasingly lonely. Movie characters become your only friends. You constantly talk to them in your head, or even out loud. The silence after you stop is horrible. And the dark corners of the movie theater seem even scarier at such moments. Your stomach hurts. You're sick and tired of snacks, candies, sandwiches, and popcorn. Unbelievable, but the only thing you're craving is a bowl of warm soup. You don't enjoy movies anymore. Nothing seems funny, sad, or even scary. You often watch a movie not knowing what it's about. It feels as if you're stuck on a deserted island, but kinda worse. There, you'd at least have beaches, sunsets, palm trees, and maybe even a chance to escape after a while. You miss fresh air, sunlight, the feeling of rain on your skin. You close the doors of the movie theater halls and stand next to the ticket office. You're done with opening credits, movie music, your favorite actors. You don't want anything to do with movies. You start exploring the place, paying even more attention to details than you did before. You enter all the halls one by one and try to find new exit options. You start to lose hope, but then you remember something from the movie you saw a couple of days before and run to the bathroom. Here's the vent. It's now or never. It's pretty high. 2 garbage cans. Great! Maybe you'll reach it now. Your construction keeps swinging, but you somehow manage to crawl into the hole before the garbage can tower crashes down. You have to get through an entire maze up there before you, finally, get out. Ah, a warm, nice night. It feels as if this is the first time you've taken a deep breath in over a year. The movie theater isn't in the city center, so you start walking home. When you arrive, your roommate can barely believe his eyes. Have you got back from Aruba? He sounds surprised. You have no idea what he's talking about. He says, you were disappointed with your job and didn't know what to do, so you told everyone you needed something different, maybe a couple of months on Aruba or something like that. So we all thought you wanted to disappear for a while and then get in touch with people again. Your phone was off for a year and you didn't reply on social media. No, it wasn't Aruba. The movie theater, all kinds of movies from all over the world, lots of popcorn, the renovation. No one ever came. You try to tell your roommate the story. You're hurrying, missing words, skipping parts of the story, but he's just looking at you, confused. You decide to just show him the place. But when you get there, he doesn't want to come closer. That place has been closed for years. I can't remember ever seeing it open. There's a story about a guy who owned it. He was a great movie fan and wanted to collect movies from all over the world. He was gonna renovate this movie theater, but then he suddenly disappeared. No one knew what had happened. The theater was closed down and has been under renovation since then. People have heard noises coming from that building, but no one wanted to come any closer to investigate. Oh, how did you end up in such a place? You suddenly notice someone move near the theater. They start walking towards you. You try to run away, but you can't move. What's going on? You jolt awake in your seat. Was it all just a dream? Credits on the screen mean the movie you've been watching is over. The hall is empty, and you quickly leave it. No one is there. Oh no, not again! Hello? You yell in panic. Silence. And then... Yes?
Okay, what if pressing only one key could change your life forever and make it much easier? Well, if we were in Minecraft, everything would be possible. Too hard to live? Too many tasks, deadline, school classes are tedious, and you just can't go on like this? Change your life mode to somewhat less challenging. Just press escape. Adjust your life difficulty choosing peaceful, easy, normal, or even hard for those who like it tough. If your teacher is as hostile as a green and white pixelated creeper, choose peaceful mode. Monsters don't spawn there. Or just get yourself a cat. Creepers are terrified when they see them. Even if your pet looks a bit boxish. One more cool piece of news, if your life is in peaceful mode now, you don't even need to eat, which could save you a ton of money. As for appearances, no more worries about pimples. Now that you're pixelated, nobody's ever going to notice them. You look the same every day. Your haircut, even if you hate it and can't wait for your hair to grow, never changes unless you change the skins. You can't grow or lose some pounds. Your body proportions are much different too. In our world, the head-to-body ratio is about 1:7, and in Minecraft, it's more as if everyone had a baby body with a huge head and smaller torso. You wouldn't have fingers, so if you had Minecraft body in real life, you wouldn't be good at fine motor skills. I guess no Minecraft surgery, huh? No matter what kind of biome you live in, you don't need some super cold-resistant clothes or nice shoes. Life without changes means that you don't age the way we normally do. No more birthdays anymore. The cake you find in the game is not for candles or making wishes. It can only help you if you're starving. A day-night cycle is somewhat different now, with 100 Minecraft days equaling 33 standard hours, so life expectancy should change too. The average lifespan in the USA is 78 years, or about 683,000 hours. So the average lifespan, according to Minecraft, would jump up to 5,700 years. Hey, and you can also respawn. Ready to live forever? Food isn't that different from what we have in real life, even in terms of calories. A whole cake will replenish your energy so much more than a plain beetroot. Carbs. There would be some exceptions too. A golden apple gives extra health in Minecraft. So sad Golden Delicious from Walmart are only delicious in real life. You can starve in Minecraft in 2 game days, though it takes a bit longer in real life. Yeah, going with no food is a real challenge, but a human actually can do that. Water, on the other hand, is pretty essential in our world, but doesn't do much to Minecraft people when they drink it. Today's agriculture uses some fertilizers to speed up plant growing. But if we had that bone meal Minecraft people feed their plants with, we'd have an abundance of any fruit or vegetables. Life would be quite boring though. You wake up today and you mine. You wake up the next day, you craft. The retail industry could never compete with skillful people, who actually don't need it, being able to create various objects from scratch. Anyway, you don't need that much. You can do almost anything with a mere pickaxe, upgrading it to a diamond one. All those hardware stores full of handy items would go bust in a real world with a pickaxe replacing everything else. You'd also have to be a bit more hard-working though. If you want to have a nap, there's no way you could do that in the Minecraft world. Here, you only sleep at night or if there's bad weather outside. Sleep is essential not to be caught by monsters that appear as soon as the night falls. And you gotta be sure there are no monsters nearby before you go to bed anyway. You can only sleep in your bed though. Even if you want to spread on a nice meadow in the shadow, you won't just fall asleep. Same with school classes. No matter how boring they are, it's just impossible to doze off. If you're used to watching pop science TV shows, well, that's something that would probably be almost unchanged. Discovery Channel would show not only various biomes and square animals, but other worlds too, like the Nether and the Overworld. Anyway, you wouldn't spend that much time indoors. Most activities in Minecraft are performed outdoors, so you'd have to go outside really often. Traveling is fun in Minecraft world. Want to visit the Nether? No, not the Netherlands. It's a trip to the underworld. No need to buy tickets, go through customs, spend hours in a tiny airplane seat. You only want some lava and a bit of water. Pour one over the other and you get obsidian. As soon as you create at least 8 blocks of the stuff, build a portal with them, set it on fire, and voila! Welcome to the Nether. If you travel a lot, you can casually grab your bed with you and assemble it wherever you want. Nice move to avoid pricey hotels, which are missing in the Nether anyway. It's not just a fun trip though. There are a bunch of ingredients you may need for potions. No fancy souvenirs either. Rather, some useful stuff you mine from exotic Nether blocks. Despite their moniker, locals called zombie pigmen are quite friendly and never attack unless it's you who started a fight. Lava can help you to travel, be a kind of trash bin, and keep intruders away. In Minecraft world, you can be sure unexpected guests won't bother you. They'll just fall into boiling lava. End of story. You can also install a tripwire hook just behind your front door to activate piston-based traps for unwanted visitors. Once your guest triggers the tripwire, the pistons will remove the flooring and send the visitor into the void. If you're going to the seaside, take your front door with you. It'll help you explore the ocean deep. If you fall into water, all you need to breathe freely is place a door above you. Nobody could ever hold their breath for more than 24 minutes in our real life, but in Minecraft, you can stay underwater almost forever, or just as long as you want. Transportation system is much cooler now. You can still use all the means of transport you're used to, but having a ride in a cart can be both fun and fast. Just build the rails wherever you want and forget about traffic jams. Physics are another big change. They give you lots of superpowers not accessible in the real world. You can jump higher, climb any mountain easier, and run faster as if the whole gravity stuff was a joke to you. You can make a vertical row of blocks, and even if you smash the lowest block, the one above it will hang in the air. It doesn't mean you can't fall down from a height. You can. But it's safe if you just spill some water from a bucket right before the impact. Not only can you perform all of that, but you can also easily chop a massive trunk in just a few moves. No tools necessary, by the way, just your bare hands. And not even a scratch left on them afterwards. You don't feel pain in this world. Don't worry, the top branches of the tree you just fell won't hurt you either, since they'll be hung in the air. Deforestation in Minecraft looks insane. Can you imagine a forest made up of floating trees? No squirrel could ever climb any trunk in such a forest. Walking around here, you're likely to come across wild animals, such as bears and wolves. You can domesticate wolves and almost convert them into dogs, and bears are not that dangerous for you. Just trap them inside a fence. It looks flimsy, but it's Minecraft world, so it's absolutely safe. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want